Easy people, hope everyone's doing okay. Obviously you're joining me in the camper van. We are ready for breakfast. All the food's been prepped. Yeah, just got myself a little bit of mushrooms, peppers, a few tomatoes. I say I'm not going to win any prizes for Chef of the Year, but still, nice little brekkie knocked up. Should see me right for the day. Get this down me and we shall begin our adventure. As you can see, it is typical English weather, raining. But that means that there won't be that many people here, so there's always a plus to everything. So this is where we are today, guys. Holkham Park. And we are going to take a wander around all of it. There are some already interesting points that I can see on here. Obelisk. What is an Egyptian obelisk doing here? We've got another one. Manor house. And yeah, we'll just take a wander around and see what we find. So let's get going. So this is Holkham House. Now, I'm not going to give you the official narrative of things because I'm of the opinion that the official narrative isn't necessarily what these places were built for in their original inception. So we'll just wander around, have a look and see what we can find, and let the building itself see if it can tell us a story of what perhaps it was used for. But this is the front, already noticing the symmetry, and if we just look at the top we can see ornamentation, which again, this ornamentation isn't the original ornamentation. These things are repurposed afterwards. The original ornamentation is usually lost in these places because they go through many renovations until we see them as they are today. But still, a lovely building nonetheless. And if we spin it right around in the distance there, we can see an obelisk. So let's go and take a little wander. Also, if you can see just there to the side of me, with the manor house behind me there, huge body of water. That is crucial in the process of free energy, harnessing the atmospheric energy from the ether. Water is needed to pump and keep this cool, so quite interesting that it's actually right next to the manor house, and there's probably a better view of the manor house as a whole. Really is a wonderful building. But look at this. Not an obelisk as such. The other obelisk is actually behind the manor house, but still the same principles. You could easily see how this could have been antenna-esque. Perhaps ornamentation on the top that's not here now, but still a structure of megalithic, really. Looking at it, huge blockwork. Look at the blockwork here. Again, you have to remember, this is not easy to move blocks this size. You know, where does that go to? There's the line there, comes around, nice straight cut. Yeah, really impressive. And that obviously goes all the way around. More blocks in the middle, carvings, and a pillar, an obelisk. Now some will say that it's stone, so the principles of energy wouldn't be transmuted through stone, but when we found some of these that have been destroyed or knocked over, we actually see that there are iron rods within them to that can conduct the energy. So it can be done. Just because of the outer appearance is stone doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't have iron. And iron is a great conductor of electricity, energy. That's why we have ions, you know, the positive and the negative, the process of changing this, ions, that's where it comes from. There is the official narrative of things. Thomas William Coke, Earl of Leicester. Yeah, so they say that these families, these earls, dukes and all sorts, are the ones that built these manor houses that we find all over the UK. But I'm of the opinion that they are really just the front to cover what these buildings were really used for, and what their principles were. With this obelisk here, the manor house there in the background. I'm not too sure if you can see, but the obelisk, the Egyptian obelisk, is actually in direct alignment with this one and passes straight through the middle of the house, almost creating an energy line. This already is showing me that there's going to be plenty here for us to ponder. So let's get down there and have a look at this Egyptian obelisk at the back of the manor house. Fascinating stuff already. So we're just coming round the back of the manor house now. And as you can tell, the weather is picking up a little bit, but that won't put us off. I'm told it's quite a far walk beyond the obelisk, so I've ditched the flip-flops, left them over there. Hopefully nobody pinches them. And actually it's really good to walk barefoot, you know, because you release the negative ions, there's that word again, and you absorb the positive ions from the ground, from nature's surface, not on concrete, only from nature's surface. It's called earthing, and there's that magical word ions again that keeps on appearing in this energy revelation that we are currently going through as a human consciousness. Look at this, guys. You can see the mound that comes up here, like this is not the original surface level, and this house is buried. This house is buried. Look at the roof. Look at that. Mud flood evidence. Wow. Let's go and take a look and see what this says. Oh, ice house, ice house. Nah, I'm not even going to read the narrative there because I already know about ice houses. These structures that you can see, look at the roof there at that level. They say that they built these to store ice during the 17th and 18th century. Yeah, because obviously it was so important to have ice for your cold drink back in the day. No technology, riding around on a horse and cart, but we needed to make buildings so that we could house our ice, because we all know how important ice is in a cold drink in the summer. I mean, it's just an agreed narrative. That's really what it is. And that is why I don't pay much attention to these official narratives of these places. I let the information, the actual building itself tells a far better story. Look at that, look at the roof level. I wonder how low that actually does go down. And you can already see how it's mounded up here. I'm sure we're going to find more evidence of this type of stuff on these grounds. What a fascinating place already. So just before we get to the obelisk, which is just in the distance over there, there was an interesting structure that I could see through the trees that definitely requires a closer look, because to me it looks like it has a copper dome, and that copper is a great conductor of electricity. And it's these domes that we find in the ancient world and the old buildings. Especially in London, St. Paul's Cathedral being a classic example for anyone from England, the copper dome. And back in the day that would have had a huge antenna on top that would have harnessed the energy from the ionosphere. There's that word ion again, synonymous with energy, ions. And that's why I'm walking barefoot. Look at that, guys. There's the greeny blue colour this copper goes to eventually through weathering. But you can see the copper dome on top. Obviously there's no antenna on this one, but there certainly would have been back in the day. And look at the evidence at the side of mud flood. Now, we say that they build this for storing coal and wood, but to me it's just, I can see a blocked up, there is a blocked up passageway through there. I wonder if there was any more in there. So if you had a passageway within the house, why would you have a passageway on the outside of the house if you could get to it from within? It just seems like a window like this that has been repurposed. That is what I would say that is. Because it makes no sense to have an entrance point on the outside when you can get to it from within. Does that make sense? Let's have a little wander around anyway. So one of these back doorways is actually open. It's probably too dark for you to see, but this is what I mean. Look, it's a blocked up passageway. So you can get to this area from within the house. So why would you build a window on the side or an entrance on the side? Why would you do that? You know, doesn't make any sense. I would say that this is lower levels. I wonder if I could actually get in to have a look. Probably not, but we'll give it a try. Now the doorway is locked. There's a couple of other buildings around here. I was talking to one of the keepers up there, and he said to me that there's a church as well. Now I'm hoping when I can get into these buildings that we will see evidence of lower levels, and that is the telltale sign that that this isn't the original first floor, you know. We find this a lot in these old places when we wander around. Check out that, guys. There's an Egyptian obelisk. No two ways about that. And if you look down, it is in exact alignment with the obelisk that is beyond the manor house, and it runs directly through the middle of the manor house. I'm wondering if this is a ley line, if this is an original ley line. Again, look at the blockwork. These are not easy to move around and position into place. Very heavy blockwork, and it goes all the way up. All that is blockwork. So that is not easy. And what is this? This looks like it's been defaced. This looks like damage of some sort, not part of the original concept. I wonder whether they've done that deliberately to hide something. I wonder. Does it go all the way round? Yes, it does. Because that just looks totally out of place, if you ask me. Makes no sense to have that on there. That is not a pattern. That is covering up something in my eyes. But look at the blockwork. Wow. And if you can see right down there, like I say, perfect alignment. Is this an original energy line? The real ley lines? So you can see the obelisk behind me. We are going to take a long walk now, all the way down this same energy line. Because I asked one of the keepers back there if there was anything beyond or on the outer edges, and he told me nothing of importance, just gates. Now, if there's one thing that I've learned doing this research, it's that gates are not just there for that word's meaning of being a gate. Like, for example, the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. If you actually look at it, it's a magnet. It's the same with the Marble Arch in London and the Arc de Triomphe. Now, that word arc, where is that synonymous with again? It comes through with energy, electricity, the generation. Arc is a key component to that process, so I don't think that word is just there without it being there on purpose, you know. So anyway, he said it's quite a far walk. The weather is really something special today, but I never let that put me off anyway. And like I said, the positive that comes from that is there's not many people around. So we got a far walk in the distance. I'm going to enjoy some of the open green scenery. I'm told there's lots of birds in this vicinity, but I'm not sure they'll be flying around today. So here we are, guys. This is the gate, and it actually is a gate in the meaning of the word. You can see a brick wall that runs either side, so it is in all purposes a gate. But just in the distance over there is something a little bit more interesting, and we're going to go and take a little wander over there. So there we can see, guys, that is 3 magnets, because there is no need to build an archway or a gateway if you're not going to build brickwork either side of it. It defeats the whole purpose of it. So this is 3 magnets, and if you look at the similar archways or bigger ones, the more famous ones within the realm, Arc de Triomphe, Marble Arch, they too are just standing on their own. They don't really serve any purpose unless their original inception is a different purpose. And this, by the way, you won't be able to see it, but this is in the exact alignment with the 2 obelisks and runs through the center of the manor house. Now that is 3 magnets. We are dealing with electromagnetism via the ether. How this works in its entirety is still, we are feeling our way through the dark. We are just coming into this awareness, a huge explosion at the moment with this type of stuff. So really fascinating to see the principles and the alignment. And there's actually a couple of other places that run off to the left of the manor house, the waterworks being one of them, the body of water that look man-made. And there's something similar just close by that we're going to get down and have a look. I believe we could find the pump station that would have been used to keep this network running. But isn't it fascinating just to see it there? Look at it now, 3 magnets. Absolutely amazing place down here, by the way. So that is the energy line behind me there, guys, but just off to the side of it, an interesting building. It's private residence now, so we won't be able to go right in and have a look around, but I can see red brickwork, a tall, looks like a furnace of red brick chimney just there, and also just there, that is a repurposed clock tower with ornamentation on the top, and 2 bits of ornamentation on the side of these buildings as well, which again, back in the day, one would suspect would have copper antennas on that would harness the energy through the ether. And a body of water as well, just there next to it. Rather interesting. Yeah, unfortunately, guys, we can't go in there. But as I say, you can see the ornamentation on top of the 2 bigger structures, and in the middle, a clock tower, which I would suspect has been repurposed because of the ornamentation above that. Almost look like a battery capacitator, you know, with the cylinders running round. Just throwing that out there, could potentially be, but just an interesting structure just off of the side of this energy line that runs all the way down, and that is the obelisk in the distance there. So we're going to check out a few more things along the way. So that is me just now at the back of the manor house there that you can see. We've got a church and a garden just over there in the distance behind this body of water that I suspect would have been used as the pumping station in some capacity, so I'm hoping to find some bits over there. There's also another structure over there in the distance that I'm not entirely too sure what it is. Just lots of random things in this area. It's quite a big place. I mean, that was not a short walk by any stretch of the imagination, but still, when you're walking barefoot on the grass, it doesn't feel like you're walking at all, really. You're just taking it all in. But yeah, so we'll get over there in a minute, guys. I'm just going to go and have a quick bite to eat at the cafe, refresh myself, and we'll continue on with the next part. See you all soon. And I'm delighted to say that my flip-flops are still there. Do you imagine if I had to walk into the cafeteria in a manor house like this, barefoot? The amount of looks you'd get from people. But never mind, nobody took me flip-flops, so that's a good start. So look at this, guys. I've just come to the side of the manor house before I go to the cafeteria, and as you can see, lower level windows. Look, why would you do that? And look at that brickwork. Look at the exposed brickwork there. Wow. I suspected with the mound that ran up onto the side of here that wasn't the original level, and these windows with the brickwork that are all dotted around the whole side of the premises, this would be a repurposed window as a doorway now. Look at that. Look how far it goes down as well. Wow. So I think we've just seen that this is definitely strong evidence of this not being the original level to the building, which is all part of the mud flood. Everywhere we look, we're finding this evidence now, right? Amazing. So we'll start part 2 of the video now, guys. Sun's come out as well for us. As you can see, this body of water just here in the background of the manor house here, this body of water is actually man-made. It is not a natural body of water, as you can tell by the curvatures that come round. And if you see, we're going to walk just here, there's a stepway which sort of controls the flow of the water, and it comes from over here where I suspect was the pumping stations that would have been used to carry, as I say, this is the energy line right here. You can see the manor house just in the background. The first obelisk is up here and the second one is just there, so that's the energy line that runs that way, and this man-made body of water would have been used to cool that process of the energy line. So this is an interesting step here, where you can see where the birds are just sat on. It would be to control the flow of the water so it's not obviously gushing around coming from this section over here. So we'll go over and have a look at the pump anyway, but let's just have a look at the step part here. There you go, you can see that. And this body of water goes all the way around to that point, and just there you can see the obelisk just standing up, and like I say, the manor house is just right there. So let's go and walk round to the gardens. Not sure if the camera will pick it up, but the perfection of those curbs, really just an indicator that this is a man-made body of water. This is not natural. You can tell the difference between a natural body of water and a man-made body of water, and these curbs are a clear indication that this is being created. Now that the sun has come out, it's obviously a little bit busier here now than it was this morning, and I'm getting a few funny looks with my bare feet walking. But really I encourage everybody to do this on grass. You will feel the benefit. Really is a great thing to earth yourself into the earth's resonance. Look at that, that is just typical, eh? We start recording for part 2. It's been sunny since I've been in that cafeteria. I was in there for about an hour. I come outside, you guessed it, it's starting to rain again. And for those who aren't from the UK, this is very normal, we get used to it. English weather, we love it. Look at this, guys. First entrance over to where we're looking. Have a wall that is buried this side. Not entirely too sure why you would build a wall up against grass like that unless the mud level has come up, but it's like that all the way around. So we'll go through and have a closer look on the other side. So yeah, as I was saying, this is the other side of the gate. You can see, why would you build a wall when the grass level is up there, unless this has been added? It's the same this side. That outer wall makes absolutely no sense whatsoever unless the ground level has changed at some point after it was first created. Now, this is very interesting. It's called the walled garden. Notice the red brick, synonymous with the Tartarian culture, iron ore, because that's what it's made from. There's that word ion again, ions. You can also find the beige bricks as well. The old school beige bricks is made from the iron ore, but the red one's probably more prominent, where we see it more often. But the beige one is certainly of the same concept. But look at the size of this wall. This is huge, and obviously this goes all the way round. And this is called the walled garden. Now I'm gonna say already, without even going in there, that I believe that the garden is being repurposed. I don't believe that that was an original inception of what it was for, and I'm looking for some potential pumping water, something to pump the water that would have come all the way round, because that was where the body of water was, where we were just a while ago, and that would have been used at the manor house with the obelisks, with the energy line. So we'll go in there and we'll take a look and see if we can find any evidence of a pumping system or something else other than a garden. So we'll go in and take a look. Okay guys, so we're in the walled garden now. Lots of exotic plants, beautiful vegetation. The vineyard as well, I've just been informed, is at the back area. You can see lots of the original structures here, the brickwork. And this is really what we're interested in, not the garden itself, even though the garden is beautiful in its own right. But as we can see there, some old pipe work. That is old pipe work. That's a lower level perhaps, not quite, but still original structure. There's also this interesting point here that they've recently done a renovation on. They've done lots of renovations here. I was just informed by the ladies at the front about the gardens and the purposes, which obviously is the official narrative. But yeah, there's a bell and we can see some ornamentation on top. which has been renovated. That is not the original bell, and that isn't the original ornamentation on top of there, so it would have been great to see what it would have looked like. But again, more pipes running all through here. It'd be great to know if these were original, if this is what they were here from the beginning. But we'll wander around and see if we can find anything. Okay guys, we found something very interesting indeed. You can see this base level. Can you see that? Look. And this runs all the way along. Why would you build that as the foundation? That is a window, perhaps, or for these individual runways of water, maybe running all the way down through over to the body of water over that way, because you would not build a foundation with arches like that. Makes absolutely no sense unless the original purpose has been repurposed. Look at it, runs all the way along these archways. Look at those. That clearly is not the foundation level. This really reminds me of the child's book, The Secret Garden. You know, with the red brick enclosed garden that's hidden. Just wondering whether there's something maybe in that. Whether these red brick walled gardens, as they call them now, have just been repurposed as gardens, and that book was a part of making sure that we believe the redesign, perhaps. Just throwing that one out there. No real conclusive evidence of that, just pondering my thoughts for you. Let me know what you think in the comments of that one. Hello. Hey, this little fella, he looks like a chicken that's got hair like mine. This one's got hair, yeah, that's it, giving a little wobble. Hey, me and you are the same. Hey. Oh, you're giving him a peck. That was a bit of a vicious peck. Don't stand for that, buddy. A little bit of fun. Let's keep it moving. Wow, look at this. A new purpose. Former army officer, Major Stephen Eunice, leases the garden with his wife and transforms it into a commercial nursery, growing plants and shrubs. So in the 1960s, they repurposed this place into a garden. So there it is already in their own words, that in its original concept, this was not a garden. Let's see if we can find any more words like that that perhaps shed some light on the original purpose of this place. You know, we find this a lot. So in the early 2000s, it was rescued and listed by English Heritage. Now, these organisations really repurpose a lot of these places. You know, we think that it's similar with the Parks Trust. They take a lot of the land and they repurpose it, and it looks as if they're doing great things, but really they are covering up the original purpose of these places. And English Heritage, with its £200,000 restoration grant, has you know, played a huge part in making sure that we do not know what this place was originally used for. But we'll wander around and see if we can find any more signs that can shed some light on perhaps what this place once was. I'd just like to show you as well, for garden lovers, this place really is a beautiful little walkthrough, you know. So much greenery, shrubbery. There was a vineyard at the other side. Just could really sit yourself down in here, pull out a book, and you know, just enjoy the surroundings, the smells, little sounds of nature, peace and quiet. A new 6-acre walled garden, 1782-1788. So it was a vinery just before that. Not really exactly too sure. There we go, 100 years later they start to put the greenhouses in, which would have been for the production of crops. But again, we're not really getting any information on the original concept of this place. You're just seeing stuff of revivals, a new gateway. Yeah, not really much information for us to see what the original purpose was, but nonetheless a few indicators there that this wasn't its original design and inception. But again, just a beautiful place now to walk through. The greenery, the secret garden. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there is in the walled garden. But I think we saw enough there to at least give us some indications that it's not its original concept. We have the archways that were under the brickwork that we saw at the beginning. Very interesting you would have absolutely no reason to build a foundation wall with arches all the way along unless they had a purpose. One would suspect that that isn't the original ground level, because you just wouldn't put arches at ground level like that, like I say, unless there was another purpose. So we'll go and take a wander around now to the church, which is just at the back here. Lots of ornamentation on the top. I have no doubt that we'll find some interesting things there as well, like we have everywhere we've walked around this wonderful stately manor home. So let's move on to the next place, guys. Okay guys, so we're going to take a walk up to the church now. This is going to be the last point of interest for us within the manor grounds. Obviously I'm not going to be able to talk whilst in the church. Just going to try to show you. I'm looking for lower levels and any indication within the church itself, perhaps having ornamentation on top, these kind of things. If I can speak when we're around there, I will, but obviously it's not really the place to be pointing cameras and talking into it about you know, certain things. So we'll go up there, we'll have a look, and we'll just try to point the camera in the right direction, and then maybe I can give you a few words as we're coming away from there. So we'll take a little wander up there now. So just to give a little bit of perspective, guys, of where we are, this is the first obelisk that we was at this morning. This is the church just here. So this is the ley line, as you can see. That is the manor house just there in the foreground, and the body of water that wraps round there. And this is where we've just come from, the other side of there, with the walled garden and the Egyptian obelisk just being up there. And look at that, wow, not too sure if you'll be able to make that out, it wasn't working earlier. A water fountain at the back of the manor house. Hopefully that is still on when we make our way out of the place, and we'll take one last look at that. Just, you know, this whole water system being at the side of it. But anyway, just to give an idea of the perspective of the place, so you can see roughly where things are. But this is the church just up here, so we'll go up there and take a look. Wow, okay guys, so we're just at the church now, and take a look at the top of it. Crooked ornamentation, and on top of a hill. This mound looks to me as though it is man-made on purpose. This is not the original level of the church. That's my first initial thoughts coming into the place, that this looks like it's being leveled up. That's probably a better example just there, and that isn't the actual original level. Like I say, I'm not going to be able to talk when we get inside the church. I'm going to be respectful at least, and I'll try to get the camera and just see if we can see any evidence of perhaps lower levels there. So let's go in and take a look. So this is just the outer casing level, but if you look down below that at the original, it's the red brick. So that is just the outer casing. Let's go in and take a look. always find very interesting as well these style coffins with the red bricks that go down. Now the only reason I say that here is because just back at the garden I inquired about World War artillery bunkers that are dotted around here, but they're not on the maps, they're not known. They're hidden in the forests. Now some of these go down very, very deep, and the story is that they built these in the war for artillery purposes, but a lot of these things that they tell us about, things that were used for war, bunkers deep down underground, these kind of things, even from my small town in Leighton Buzzard where I've done a video before, just feels to me as though that's a way to sort of explain these things, but not the original concept and purpose that it was built for. And look at this rather interesting structure on the side there. We'll go and take a look. Yeah, I'm not entirely too sure what this is on the side, but here we can see what I mean about this mound being pushed up to it. As we saw when we was inside, there are lower levels. They are covered now. You couldn't really tell probably on the camera, but I could see that that goes down. That goes down quite far. Now I would suggest that there are lower levels to this church, and this mound is just really what's covered up the original doorway, perhaps like at the manor house where we saw with the windows and the run up to the manor house. It feels to me as though this has had some sort of a mud flood at a time. Again, another one of these coffins with the bricks. Now I might be wrong with these, I'm just bouncing ideas on these kind of things, but again, like I say, I found out about the artillery bases that are underground, and these kind of things just make me look at them with a curious mind. Not saying it definitely is, you know, we're just bouncing ideas around at times when we're doing these videos and seeing what people think. As always, put in the comments your own views on things, and yeah, we'll continue on. So guys, as we take our wander back down to the manor house to finish up, what do you think about the concept of this perhaps being an old world power station with the obelisks, the water system, the temples with the copper domes, the batteries at the other end, the arc, and even the church there, just adding to the overall picture of things here? I would say that there's very strong evidence to suggest that Holkham House was one of those old world power stations, harnessing the electromagnetic energy from the ionosphere. That's that word again, ions. From the ionosphere through the ether being the empty space between us that is not so empty after all. It is charged with particles, atoms, lots of energy going on. And a line always stands out to me from the movie The Matrix, where the Oracle turns around to Neo and she says, "What makes that so sure that that's air you're breathing, Neo?" I really do believe that is reference to the ether, and this is why breatharian work, breath work, has a great power to heal and to energize and charge. Anytime anybody's panicking, in a state of emotions, a few deep breaths and suddenly those emotions, you get control of them. And we can also energize ourselves when we're feeling tired. A short focus on breath work and we energize ourselves. I think this tells us more of the picture that we're looking to see. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments of that one. It's been a great little wander around Holkham House. If you're ever in the area, advise you to come here and have a look. It really is worth it. You can also hire bikes if you don't fancy to walk, because it wasn't actually a far walk up to the other end with the arches and the batteries, but still well worth the visit if you do. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.